Evernight is finally here, and if you guys love HP scaling gameplay, Castris-oriented teams, this unit is the newest installment of E2. Now onto light cones. As a remembrance character at HP scaling, we're basically overlapping with similar light cones that Castris would use. Signature LC has raw bounce stats, max HP percent 30%, all memo sprites ignore defense, 30% additional damage bonus, and 8 energy refund. Quite an impactful LC for memo sprite teams in general, since this is a team buffing ignore defense light cone. The energy is also quite useful long term, and it's very noticeable considering how often EV goes boom. For the most part, her LC is primarily for the ignore defense and energy QOL. She has quite a bit of other possible LCs to use, so the def ignore from signature is what sets it apart. Other LCs that currently look good for her. Memory's Curtain is fine, more of a team buffing LC without many offensive stats for her. Hyacinth's LC is also a decent stat stick, but this is assuming you have an extra one because Hyacinth herself will be using it. Same deal goes for Castris' LC. These LCs are mostly personal stat sticks that benefit her because she's HP scaling. For the most part, they should be used on their respective characters, so unless you pull for Evernight signature, you're probably going to opt for a 4-star LC. So we have things like BP, Flower Remembers is pretty solid, providing unconditional crit damage for both Evernight and Eevee. We have Sweat Now Cry Less is our final option, providing crit rate and crit damage bonus for her. Due to crit rate being very likely capped at 100% without LC assistance, this one generally is just worse than the BP stat-wise. It's useful as a stepping stone. For Relics, we're going best in slot with a new 4-piece Deliverer set, a good middle ground being stat bonus and buffing. 24% max HP for the wearer, but also 15% damage bonus to all allies. Combined with a 2-piece of 8% crit rate, this set is ideal for Evernight's mixed role. However, it is highly specific, so you can always opt for 2-piece combos like Longevous Disciple and Glacial Forest that provide HP percent or ice damage bonus. But I would plan to upgrade to 4-piece as soon as possible, since the total stat gain is substantial. For planners, we have 2-piece Bones, which looks like a classic all-rounder with 12% HP and 28% crit damage. We also have 2-piece Arcadia as an option, but it will need all 4 teammates to have memo sprites to be stat equivalent to Bones. This caps at 36% damage bonus, providing 4% less overall stats than Bones. So if you want something unconditional, Bones will be the most comfortable. Main stats are moderately flexible depending on your substat quality. For the most part though, Evernight has a lot of innate self buffs. Bringing up the TLDR from Traces again, she's very heavy on damage bonus and crit for herself. So she's leaning towards HP investment on Relics. Currently, her build path looks like follows: crit damage or HP body, HP or speed boots, HP or damage orb, and HP rope. Body piece prefers crit damage for her own crit damage transfer, but HP body also works. Speed boots or HP boots is generally preference, since her passive technically allows automatic 134 breakpoint without any investment whatsoever. Speed boots can theoretically be no value if you don't need to go past 134 speed, while HP boots are heavily diminished due to many other sources of HP percent. Can't go wrong with either choice, just choose whatever you invested in or whatever you need. For Orb, HP is better overall due to her natural high damage bonus, and then Rope sticks with HP. She'll gain all of her energy passively from trace bonuses and skill spamming. For the most part, her build is primarily just a crit damage body and triple HP main stat. So with creator server Relics, mine's looking pretty solid. I've opted for crit damage, speed, HP with signature light cone. She's a bit faster with 1/3 crit damage, speed, HP with signature light cone. She's a bit faster with 133 speed, and with Eevee's talent giving us 40 to 50% speed when it goes boom, she's effectively near 160 to 170s. 7.5k HP, 70% crit rate, and 2% crit damage. Ideally, your crit rate is no higher than 65%. But even with crit damage main stat, overcapping will be more common than you think. Trace stats give 18% and her passive gives 35%, so her base crit is already like 60%. Team synergies. So at this point, characters that scale similarly and build similarly tend to operate on the same team. So evernight really only has a true synergy, and that is HP scaling and Memo Sprite synergy. Of our roster, we technically only have two options here, Casterus and Aglaya. Now Aglaya's scaling is based on speed and attack, and making sure you never exit her ultimate state or else all her stacking bonuses reset. This functionally has nothing to do with evernight. So we really only have one choice, and that is being the best partner for Casterus. She does do a massive amount of damage herself though, so she can totally operate as a main DPS. These two team archetypes are basically all that we have for her, and unless we get future HP scaling characters or future Memo Sprite characters in general, that's going to be it. Ideally both if possible. So Casterus team, add Hyacinth. Main DPS team, also add Hyacinth. For extra flex slots, we have RMC is great, has Memo Sprite, has Action Advance, has 2 damage bonus, and is free. Pretty good stuff. We also have Tribby. Tribby is great by default, especially since she's also HP scaling, and has aura buffs that, while they do overlap, they are still strong. So this is going to be core for the Casterus team. Casto, evernight, Tribby, and Hyacinth. If you're running main DPS evernight, you basically replace Casterus and include Hyacinth and RMC plus 1 flex slot. These are the 3 core Memo Sprite users and scale very well together. Last slot can be Tribby or any standalone support like Ruanmei or Silverwolf. Now, the main DPS team with evernight is going to struggle against single target damage since evernight is almost entirely AoE. So units like Cypher synergize quite well to offset these weaknesses. Overall, stick within these archetypes and really try to add Hyacinth. If you don't have or can't take away Hyacinth from other teams, you can manage with E6 Gallagher. Alright, so I've got 3 showcases for you guys today, 2 as a sub DPS with Casterus and 1 as a main DPS with roughly the same comp. Each of these teams is aiming for at least 3 Memo Sprite users to take advantage of her A6 Trace passive. First up is going to be the premium teams with Casterus, Tribby, and Hyacinth. Then I'll be switching out Tribby and Hyacinth for more budget-friendly options. And finally, we'll have a showcase of main DPS evernight buffed by mostly similar supports. So this is the first premium team that I have showcased for you guys. Casterus, evernight, Tribby, and Hyacinth, all E0S1. We have 3 passive abilities and 1 active ability, so we're entering with Casterus. And then we're going to be exploding Pollux basically immediately. Now, a couple of nuances while we start up this run. This was almost a 0 cycle. I tried this for several hours, and I was just so close every single time. So I just decided to take this run. It was probably the closest run. And in this particular situation, we basically don't ever have skill point issues. Like, I noticed that during my entire runs, I was like, wait, I literally don't even need to think about using basic attack on characters that don't want to basic attack. Tribby obviously is the only character that's basic attacking because she doesn't need to refresh her skill that often. The other 3 characters, Casto, evernight, and Hyacinth, they're literally skilling every single turn without issue. And this is because Eevee's boom gives us +1 skill point every single time, and her boom goes so often. So it's pretty nice. And in terms of other nuances, basically Evernight's ultimate you want to use after a boom. You want to save it in some cases. You never want to use Evernight's ult while Eevee is still alive because you basically don't get the resummon. So that's just a small caveat. And as you guys can see, we 0 cycled the first wave very, very quickly. This Flame Reaver guy is a bit difficult to 0 cycle with this comp because our single target damage is a little bit lacking, but it's okay. So you guys will see I kind of min-max things a little bit here. I always want to wait. Also here, right here, 52 stack is going to be insane damage because the more Memorial stacks she has, the higher the multiplier of her boom. So you guys are going to see a pretty large kaboom here. 1.77 million. Yep. So that's basically evernight. This is also why I included a main DPS rotation because she does so much damage just there. After we explode all of the clones, we then send a single target Casterus so she gets all the bounce stacks. And our Flame Reaver is now at 30%. Now we're waiting for the clones to summon again. I'm going to be holding both Tribby ult and Hyacinth ult just to get that AoE off. Otherwise, that chip damage is kind of wasted. So you guys will also notice that I am going to be saving Casterus' ult here because the HP bar is too low and I do not want to waste it. So we're going to push evernight to try to clear this and push it to second phase before I send a Casto ult. Every single time I were to do Casterus' ult now, I would always end the second phase at about 30% HP, so it always ended up as a complete failure. This had the highest success of possibly 0 cycling. As you guys saw there, we did an explosion. Also, we're sending a Casterus ult right as the phase change. We're holding Evernight's ult, and the reason why we're holding it because I want to summon the clones first and do chip damage to those clones. So 84% here. Clones are summoned. Now we can go ahead and use Evernight's ult and resummon Eevee. 744,000 is pretty strong. And then we go Casto. 75, 83%. We're going to be basically be guaranteed here. We get 16 Memoria stacks, so we're going to summon Explosion here. And the ads are basically almost dead. We just send in Hyacinth E so that Ika goes. Destroy the ad, and this is our final chance. 42% left on the boss's HP. And I mean, this is all I have, right? 96.5% crit, 441 crit damage, 125% damage bonus. This is as close as because in this particular comp, we do want 3 memos, and our 3 memos are Evernight herself, RMC, and Hyacinth. So in this particular comp, I really do not suggest Gallagher. You kind of need Hyacinth in order to ramp up pretty quick. So yeah, let's take it for a spin. Evernight is fairly impressive considering how much damage she does while also buffing the entire team. So yeah, here is a taste of main DPS Evernight. So in this, we have our damage amp from Tribi, we have our action advance from RMC, and we have a bunch of sustain, plus Memoria generation, plus all the extra attacks from Hyacinth. So it's really, really nice. So nothing we can do about Evernight getting above 16 Memoria, by the way. Once that happens and Eevee goes, it is always a boom. You cannot control it. So this, I kind of just like sent all the ultimates. There really wasn't a care in the world, but ideally I should have done Tribi ult before Evernight ult. It's fine. At the end of the day, like if it does affect the cycle clear, we're just trying to have fun here because like Evernight's just cool. So yeah, let's pay attention to Evernight's damage overall. Once all auras are active, which they are now, if she gets a decent amount of Memoria stacks, we'll see how much damage she does. So this is just 23, which is on the lower side. 660k damage is still good, though. Okay, beautiful. Hyacinth's doing Hyacinth things, always doing a decent amount of damage. 24 Memoria stacks, as I said. Because Eevee goes so often, we're getting so many skill points. You basically never have to worry about skill point management, which, in my opinion, is pretty nice. I kind of like that. Okay, so we zero cycled wave 1 very, very quickly, which is expected here. Unfortunately, I would have liked this to be waiting for the clones to summon, but again, you cannot control it. 600% crit damage total. Eevee's pretty damn strong here, but it is minimum Memoria stack, so only does 108,000 damage. I want to resummon Eevee here and get Darkest Riddle up, so we ult here. And now we're just waiting. Mem is almost about to go, 100% here. 29 Memoria stacks, single target damage, 32. 400k is pretty good. Considering that would have been true AoE if there were more mobs, it is quite strong. Alright, let's go set up. Boom. Hyacinth. 750k Hyacinth. That's just Hyacinth things. And yeah, it's just so much damage, it's kind of ridiculous. Anyways, that additional damage is just crazy. Evernight has 29 stacks now. Single target damage again. It's forced. We have a little bit less crit damage at 522 this time. Damage, 500k, still very, very good. 58%. Ultimate here will send us, but I'm waiting. Okay, now all the ads are summoned. We're going to send in Tribi ult and then RMC ult. This should push us to 100% on Mem, which should action advance Evernight. Action advancing Evernight here. Oh, I do not have Darkest Riddle, so we are a little bit off here, but that's okay. 20 stack Memoria, 800k AoE, sending to second phase. Waiting for him to summon the ads here. Okay, now we're sending Hyacinth into Evernight's ult. Alright, Evernight ult, true AoE damage. Hyacinth doing 640k. Evernight's ultimate dealing 1.4 million. I mean, it's more impressive than you really think it is. And consider the boss's HP bar is 52% wave 2 right before ending the cycle. I mean, that's kind of nice. So Evernight is able to squeeze in one more big Eevee boom here. 600% crit damage right before the cycle ends. Damage, 400k. So after the memory tournaments are 30%, which is kind of impressive, right? You saw how close it was compared to the premium Casto team. Evernight does a really solid amount of damage herself, so if you want to go ahead and play her main DPS, I think it's totally fine. I do think that you are going to need Hyacinth. Like Hyacinth, I think is a must for this. All right, just wrapping things up here. Pretty good clear. I think we're actually going to be a little bit shy because evernight is losing a little bit of momentum here. It is 10% HP, but we are just about to end second cycle. It would suck, but it is what it is. 6% HP. Maybe Hyacinth can clean up here. I am not sure, though. Let's see. Hyacinth ulti. Tribute damage 5%. Ika. Ah! Just don't talk to me, man. All right, these 1%. Bro, both my budget run and this run went 1%. Okay, you know what? It's basically a 1 cycle and a 2 cycle, not a 2 and 3 cycle. Don't worry about it. Just look at bold, okay? All right, so closing thoughts. What do I think of evernight? Feels amazing to play, in my opinion. Constant SP generation from EV boobs. Low-key feels like cheating, and SP management is a breeze. Damage output is also impressive and scales with how many Memoria stacks you have, so I can definitely see vertical investment if you want to main her. She's also like pseudo harmony with vulnerability percent on ultimate and crit damage buff to all allies, so for remembrance enjoyers and HP scaling enjoyers, she's really nice. If you like the castress type playstyle, I think evernight is a no-brainer to pick up. Otherwise, I'd say it depends on if you have Hyacinth available. She's a pretty big enabler for the overall rotations of the comp, as well as dishing out illegal amounts of damage herself, along with Ika as a sustain. It'll also make survivability basically a non-issue, especially with all the HP sack. Overall, evernight is a solid remembrance unit and a very valuable pickup for HP scalers. That's going to wrap it up for Evernight's complete guide. If this video helped you out, don't forget to like and subscribe for more easy to digest guides and showcases. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care.
Honkai Star Rail has changed a lot since its initial launch, and the main reason for that is new characters, but also there's been tons of new gear, different methods to get different items that can help you with endgame content, more endgame content added to the game, and actually I shouldn't have Zelo on the screen for this at this point, should I? Here guys, here's proof that this is a guide for the year 2025, wow. Anyways, I've been playing
君を見てたあの日から全てが変わるような気がした 聞こえない足音で目を開ければいつもと同じただ一人期待していたね君に言えなかったこと今も閉じ込めてるあの世界で見つけた大切な何かをこの心は探し求めてるねえずっとここで君と笑っていられるように約束をするよ時を超えて今何も変わらずにただ今が過ぎていくあの日々が怖くて仕方ないから夢や希望を逃がさないようにしたね君とあの日見たもの今も覚えているこの世界で見つけた大切な何かでこの心は生きてここにいるねえずっとここで君と前を見ていられるように約束をするよいつもいつま会えなくなっていたあの孤独もいつか明日を照らす日に変わる
The wings in his eyes, beautiful butterflies, silvery green like the moss on the trees. Wings in his eyes, dangerous dragonflies, blue like the deep southern skies. He's kind and he's careful, I know that I'll see him sometime. He's sweet and he's gentle, opens my door and he closes mine. Oh my, wings in his eyes, filigreed fireflies, gray like the clouds blowing by.
「記憶の種は雨の中で芽吹く」記憶の種は雨の中で芽吹く し何かの記念を残しておきたくない。おふざけはおもてなしだ。起きて研究の過程は我に力を。いい べき者のために打ち崩せ。来週夜が来た。おやすみ。おふざけはおし楽しみ。もしもし我に力を。来週夜が来た。おやすみ。夜が来た。おやすみ。もっと楽しんで。来週夜が来た。おやすみ。
Destruction's fate. To the ground from under my feet. Can't break me, I fight back harder. This is the sound.